these flickering lights here. This is kind of fascinating, right? And in summation, what I like about this, and I'm going to attempt this probably numerous times to explain this. This was actually the epiphany where the whole world made sense. All of a sudden, communism, socialism, Keynesianism, all that didn't make sense. That occurred to me at the time that I understood the concept of energy, how everything moves through a medium. Now think about it. What do you know that doesn't move without any kind of cycles? Your brain, your heart, your breathing, the universe, the snake, shark, the movement we have, the business cycle, the cosmic cycle, the economic long wave. And once you understand that, then everything makes sense. Of course, the central banks aren't going to win. Of course, the governments aren't going to win. Of course, Keynesian economics is going to fail. They're all going to fail. And Kondratieff will be right. He discovered evolution and he didn't understand at the time. It's just this concept of energy moving through a medium, right? We have booms and busts. Now, the reason is, if you think about it, is that a lot of us are really hardwired. I think this is true. I think Proctor covers this in his socioeconomics book. It's fantastic. I think it's in chapter 21. It's a great book. Once I really understood the concept of fractals and why everybody linear, right, extrapolates the trend. I've done that, right? You know, it just all makes sense. And everybody linearly extrapolates. We're hardwired. We can't see cycles, right? We don't see it. But tell me anything that doesn't have a cycle, unless death. I mean, how do we know somebody died? We know somebody died basically is the brain activity. The cycles stop, right? The breathing cycle stops. The heart rate cycle stops. It cycles. Everything moves in the medium. So booms and busts. The fourth turning, the seculum cycle, civilization cycles, the business cycle, the long wave, the real estate cycle. They all have cycles. They don't go straight up. Show me anything that has gone straight up. And this is the fallacy, right? Our greatest gift is the ability to think and innovate and solve solutions. This is what human beings master, and that's why we have such the abundance that we have on the planet. But our downfall is not seeing or learning from history and the cycles and understanding that. And so when you understand all this, then everything makes sense. This in itself, the sine wave, to myself, is wow. And then technical analysis made sense because we're really measuring a rate of change, momentum, supply and demand that's actually pushing stocks up or down, or indices, or whatever. We mean, have we looked at anything? And that's why it's kind of easy to spot bubbles, and we know they're going to collapse 100%. And we want to believe somebody can stop it. Nothing's going to stop the inevitable. But if you look at this and really understand this, if you really, and it's hard in a short video, but once you understand this, this is the difference, I believe. Well, I know why this forecasting model works so well. And I don't follow anybody who hasn't studied history. I just find anybody in that industry is completely ignorant of cycles. And if you look at the best forecasters and most knowledgeable have studied histories. I just found somebody in the past 6 months from a client. Daniel Hood is a civilizations cycle analyst. Brilliant insights, great observer of history, right? The long wave, what's different about it is that it focuses on two simple things, right? We're trying to understand this whole thing. And that is too much debt, unproductive debt causes it to collapse. And then the up wave is driven by new technologies. And the emerging fifth wave is decentralized. It's the empowerment of you. It's this technology we're using on a grand scale, where we'll be able to educate ourselves in uh, very inexpensively, where we'll be able to repair our bodies inexpensively. That's all coming down the road, right? Education's going to collapse. Mainstream media is going to collapse. The governments are going to collapse. Everything's going to collapse. It has to. It doesn't work anymore for the majority of, and I'm just speaking to a Canadian, let's say American audience. So this is the key. And if you can just understand that, then you'll understand why most other forecasting systems don't work. If you look at multiple sine waves, again, it sounds kind of complicated or looks kind of complicated, but again, but try to find some. Just do this. Try to find something that doesn't have a cycle, or think how anything moves right through a medium. And if you look at it, it's always energy is through a cycle, electricity, right? There's always cycles. So once you grasp that, then everything makes sense. It's interesting. I came to that realization later after being in the business for 23 years. Then it all made sense. I guess that was my journey. I don't really know. But the key is that I reread, by the way, I reread everything and I had to go back and say, oh, yeah, now this makes sense. And then my conviction and my confidence became that much stronger. All of a sudden, I knew what to throw away, what to read, what to listen, why it's going to happen, why it won't happen. Right? It's so easy to see that what Kondratieff saw. He explained, he laid the foundation. For that, we're all uh, grateful. And that's why a lot of us have his picture or allude to him because he discovered evolution. And the other reason is too, he was shot and killed for dare saying that the system, the capitalist system would collapse but would come back stronger than ever. Because what drove it was the freedom of the individuals to tamper with things and build technologies that would increase productivity, which would increase wealth, which would increase tax revenues, which would increase the ability to distribute some of that, right? And we'd have this balance. Unfortunately, governments went too far, so it's going to shrink, right? And that's the sine wave. That's why I said we're going to see much smaller governments. Maybe governments or countries breaking apart. Inevitable. A sound monetary system, decentralized power systems, education systems, healthcare systems. Everything can be done locally. It, all these forecasts that I'm making are simply based on that simple concept is that our way of thinking of the future fails us. And so if you think about most forecasters, they're just linear extrapolators, which has no basis in reality, but understandably, their brains are fooling them. On the opposite side, I want to say again, the greatest thing of human nature is, and I will do a video about this, is our ability to create. And the good news is globally, in spite of all the doom and gloom, patent growth is at record levels, even measured against the population, even though it's slowing the rate of patent growth. Now, most patents will fail, they don't work, that's creative destruction, but 1% are going to rock our world in ways we don't even know. We know a lot of things, there's so much to come. Because, patents are expensive to do. Only people will patent things where they think, the majority anyways, or a lot of it is that they could derive some kind of benefit and they've discovered something and they want to employ that on the market. So this is why I don't buy into the this analysis of too many people on the planet. Look, if you think there's too many people on the planet, make them wealthy. They will have less kids. That's just a simple solution because there's not a need to feed them. You impoverish them, they will need to have more kids to take care of themselves. Yeah, I'm just shocked how this has gotten to the heads of these. I don't call them elites anymore. They're psychopaths because they believe they know the future. Obviously, they don't realize that they're going to fall and collapse. The public will never accept what they want. But this is part of the fourth turning, right? This is part of the economic winter. But the key is what I'm trying to get is that if you understand cycles, then pay attention to civilizations analyst. Martin Armstrong also has a cycle and a work also discovered the economic long wave. It incorporates technologies we're looking for, right? It does have a distinct seasons, where there's four seasons. We're be entering economic winter, the fourth turning. I mean, these are different views of the future, but they're cyclical because it's an extension of human nature. That's why they're the most accurate forecasts, and everything else will only have its short time in the view of people. And look, if this is true with this massive technological revolution, capitalism, in terms of a monetary need to save and invest, will also end more than likely in this century. I won't be around to see it, but if it's true, and listen, I'm not making that forecast. That comes from Ray Kurzweil. I asked him a question: when do you think you'll see the replicator? I was guessing 3, 4, 500 years from now, at the rate of technological change. And he believes by the end of the century. And if this is true, then this suggests that that would be the end of capitalism. We won't be needing a monetary system. There'll still be markets, but what I mean by capitalism is saving and investment. When you have the access to the replicator, you basically can denigrate anything into something else because it's just atoms, right? And produce an abundance so we can have all our wants and needs without any kind of waste. There's no need for a monetary system. I can't see one. I could be wrong about that, but anyways, what I want to say is, in some way, to start the process is how I think differently compared to most people. There's probably 1% of us that see the world differently. We understand the world of cycles, of fractals, because this is how the worlds exist. Our weakness is we're hardwired for that. It's an evolutionary aspect, right? When I think of that, when I was a kid, you think these we were walking on the moon, what society was, and if you would extrapolate that, we should have been walking on Mars by now. And what happened? Or growing up during the music era, during the 70s, music was so innovative, and we just thought it was going to go, and it just kind of staggered and just repeated itself. So you mean if culture things, the spiritual revolution and that ended. Now we have the monetary cycle ending. This is a part people don't want to accept, is that no longer can we expand by going into debt. We're going to have to expand by innovation. So this is the key takeaway from this. Cycles, cycles, cycles. Everything moves with a cycle or a sine wave. If there isn't any existence of a cycle, you see death, you see stagnation, you see the end. And that's why the capitalist system, from somebody who was schooled in Marxism, and why I went the other way, was just the reality and the evidence of creative destruction. We're always destroying the old system. And so things have to collapse. Hence my focus on the monetary wave and the end of this real estate cycle, because the ability to borrow from the future now is gone with rising interest rates, and we really don't know how high it is. Okay, I didn't want to veer off there, but I will update this more, and I hope this help you understand what is the difference with the long wave or those other means. I'm not I pay attention to them because they fit in the long wave. So anybody who has work in those areas, I do pay attention to, learn from them and integrate them into a model. My job is to simplify the process so you can learn from something and we can benefit and we can move society faster into the decentralized renaissance that will emerge in the probably 2030s, because we have to go through economic winter. That would be the solution. That would be the solution to free society in the boom, and to shift this Malthusian thinking that there's too many people, not enough resources. That is pure bunk. It's just that these psychopaths want to stay in power, and it's their turn, basically, to you know go away in the pasture. The next generation is going to power ahead, and we're going to provide them with unbelievable technological advances. I hope this helps, and let me know what you think. And as always, we'll talk soon.